Let's start with the first one. So what is your earliest childhood memory?
Being scared by a spider.
Being scared by a spider. Can you describe your childhood in one word for me?
Normal.
Can you describe to me what it is that you do, what you see the utility of it being without telling me what you actually do?
I talk.
What would you say is your best skill?
Talking.
What is the one thing that you won't accept in other people around you?
Lack of congruence.
Let's get the dictionary out. How do you think other people see you?
Bit crazy.
What would you say is your hardest or most challenging moment that you've experienced in your life to date?
Moving to Bali.
What's the one change you would like to see in the world? It's a big question.
Honesty.
What is the most frequent lie that you tell other people?
Yeah, I'm great.
Finally, if anything, what would you like to get out of this conversation today?
A deep dive.
Deal. And lights on. How you doing, mate?
Lights out and away we go.
This has been a little while coming. I mean, we've been cooking this up for a while.
We have been, we've been cooking naturally, haven't we? And it's coming to
Absolutely.
fruition. It looks nice. People
Yeah.
can't see that. Well, they can.
Yeah.
It looks great.
How was being interviewed in the dark?
Quite cool, actually. I think it kind of gives you a bit more freedom to be a bit more honest. You know, if you can't, because you can tell what someone's going to say and how much they're thinking about it by the way they look at you. So I guess in the dark,
Yeah.
it's more like just spare of the moment. First thing that comes to your mind probably is the right thing to say.
Yeah, it's a trick of the camera because like I can actually see your face fine, but the audience can't. So the idea is that like,
Yeah.
and it's like, this is obviously a new idea. I've tried really hard to make it look like you're not like a hostage, captive, you know, and I'm not forcing you to do this interview. Now the lights are on, hopefully people will realize that.
Yeah.
But actually, you should introduce yourself now. So the lights are on.
Yeah.
So please tell me who you are.
I'm George Benson. I'm 29 years old. I'm English, but I now live on the beautiful island of Bali, which is where we've met and why we're now in this office space that we've got in Bali.
Fantastic.
That's about it.
Yeah.
Well, it's not, but we'll say that.
Yeah,
for the sake of it.
it's it for now. Yeah, so I've wanted to do this with you for a while, George, because I think you've got a really cool story, really interesting story. The whole purpose of this podcast, as I've sort of spoken to you about, is to try and show other people what people have been through in life, how they've got where they are today, how they've lived, how they've made their decisions. And you're someone who I think is really interesting because you kind of embody that concept to me of living true to yourself. You know, you're someone in my mind that's always been very good at making decisions that are in line with who you are as a human being and that make life easier for you to experience, I suppose. So to begin with, maybe you could tell us a little bit about what you do now, and then we can look back a bit.
Well, now I just talk about Chelsea Football Club. I say I just talk about Chelsea Football Club. It's a bit more complex than that. Like I sit in front of a camera, come up with some ideas based on the current news stories about Chelsea. I talk about them all. I have quite a big audience doing that. And that's kind of been a progression from various other things. But at the minute, it's just I talk football, really, which is the love of my life.
Yeah.
So I do it every day. Why not?
Yeah. What's that like for you?
I think it's the best job I could ever have because it's on a YouTube channel, which is my freedom. I'm the boss. I dictate my hours. If I screw it up, it's my fault. If it's good, then I don't have to give someone else a cut of the revenues, the things that come as a result of it. And I think it's also been like something that as I've grown older, having been doing YouTube videos for nearly 12 years, I actually do think it might be the best job in the world. So that's why I'm sure we'll go into various other things, but like it's why I settled with making videos about football because I changed my mind of what I like all the time. One day I'll wake up and all of a sudden, not interested anymore. No explanation, just out the door kind of vibe. So with football, that's like a sustainable constant that allows me to just every day, I'm not going to not want to talk about football. Do you know what I mean?
It's a really interesting thing to say because, you know, I think there's so many people in life where there's things that they'd like to do, but it's fear of the unknown. It's almost like, you know, better the devil you know. You know, you'd rather stay in your situation that you don't necessarily enjoy very much, purely because like making that change and giving up what you have is quite scary. But you're someone who's kind of been like, no, I would rather risk it all and find out. I want to talk to you about that. I mean, I guess like the couple of your answers were about talking, and you talk. We know what your job is now. We know you're a YouTuber, and you've obviously always been good at talking.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. Like, when did you realize you were good at speaking and good with your words, or is it something you kind of nurtured over the years?
I think it's always been there. And like my mum, whenever she meets anybody, like friends or girlfriends or whatever, the first thing she always tells everybody is like how much I like to talk. And it's not just like about anything. Like, I'm not just talking about like a Coke can. Like, I'm not just going to start talking to the Coke can. But I think through like actually talking in moments where you're not supposed to talk has actually helped me to not only build my personality, but I think that's kind of that edgy side of what I actually have ended up doing for the last 12 years for a career has probably come from actually just like talking whether I'm supposed to be talking or not. Do you know what I mean? Like in school, like I was the class clown. I was the idiot kid who was just winding everybody up, not like nastily, but just like trying to make everybody laugh all the time. But then my grades were still good. So I was like, right, well, I get punished for my grades not being good by my parents. And as long as they're fine, then I can do what I want here. You know what I mean? This is a playground. This is fun, even when you're in the classroom. That's kind of how I saw it. So I was just always talking, always waffling on about something, being weird, silly. Or as I've grown older, I've kind of found a love through talking about meaningful things. And I think if you want to like delve into the understanding of different concepts in life, to be able to talk about them is the way that you can excel and grow within that. Because unless you can talk about something, you can just read something and it will sink in, but then it's like, all right, well, to have a concept about something requires you to expand upon it because there's no rules. It's just like, right, well, I think I know about this through talking, and this is why I love what I do, and it just helps me in so many other areas. Through talking, I feel like I've been able to gain a good understanding of who I am, to understand where I've been and where I'm going, but also help others in that process too, by just talking a lot. Do you know what I mean?
What you do is quite interesting because most of the time when you talk, there's no back and forth. You're actually literally talking to a screen. You know, you're recording your videos. You do it by yourself the majority of the time.
Yeah.
What's that process like? Because I can't think of anything worse than sitting on my own, nobody to interact with. Doing this. Nobody to interact with and trying to engage my own brain in a creative, in an engaging dialogue.
Mm-hmm. Let's say the lens of a camera is the eyes of a person. So like, especially like in modern day, like everyone wants to be a vlogger, social media influencer, but they're looking at themselves on the screen, not the lens. So for me, I'm having a conversation even if no one's in the room, because that lens is the eyes of somebody and you can talk to someone that way. So I think for me, I never found it weird actually. At first it was kind of like, right, I'm gonna sit here and do like a commentary over a gaming video. And it felt like I was like trying to deliver something and the internal conversation was like, oh, that's not very good. We'll start again, we'll stop again. I don't do that. If I screw something up, as long as it's not like horrifyingly bad, then I'll just like, no, we'll sack this one off and do it again. But like, I make fun of my own mistakes because that's a conversational thing. You know, and that's how I see it. It's a conversation with my audience about something that I know they're already going to be talking about in the comments or with themselves, with their friends, with their families, whatever. And I think football is like probably the biggest talking point maybe in the world amongst young men, women as well, girls too. So yeah, it's just a natural, easy thing. And the camera is just the person in my mind.
So it's a really interesting thought. I mean, what's your perspective on the sort of echo chamber that we all exist in the internet now? You know, I think a lot of people feel very isolated these days. I think social media can be a very isolating environment. Things like Twitter are difficult because there's a character count. Everything seems to be headlines rather than actually in depth. You know, there's a little lack of nuance these days with everything, and obviously that's something you've got to play as well, because when you do your videos, you have to choose titles that are going to get picked up in the algorithm. And where do you sit with all of that? What are your thoughts on all that? And you know, how important is it to be able to have discussions?
I think that every platform has got its own nuance, its own niche within like a conversational like umbrella of why we use certain things. Like for example, on YouTube you can post a 24-hour video if you wanted to, which is going to have a lot of things in it that you're saying or trying to show or whatever. Twitter is narrowed down, which I think it kind of reflects the average user, I would say. Narrow-minded, can't really process too much information, so it's just like, right, quick, filter, done, out the door, whatever. I don't take anything I hear on Twitter seriously. Because what are you going to say in 140 characters? Oh, I get you, bro, don't worry about it. It's fine, yeah, cool. I think that every platform has its own reason why a certain person would operate in that world, be it as a consumer or a creator.
Fair. We'll get into more of your YouTube career. Like, there's a lot to unpack there, and like, I want to understand your journey. And I think people will find it quite surprising, some of the decisions that you made along the way. But you described your childhood as normal.
Yeah.
Can you define normal? What does normal look like? What is a normal childhood?
I'd say normal is just like I was a boy, just like doing what little boys like to do. Found out the things I really like doing, started doing more of them. Had supportive parents. Then they broke up, which is basically like every flipping marriage these days. They broke up and then just had to live in different kind of life, like see my mum every day, see my dad every day, or not every day, and be like, oh, this is a bit annoying. But then like school becomes important. Then you get a social circle of people, your school friends, your football friends, whatever it may be. And then, yeah, by 15, 16, I was like, right, let's go then. Adulthood. This is not like relying on someone else anymore. I actually wanted the responsibility to be doing my own thing and looking after myself.
Yeah. You said just then, your parents separated, and obviously now you've got a perspective on that that's something a lot of people go through.
Yeah.
But what was your experience at the time?
I think it was a weird one in the sense of you have such a normal life based on having a mum and a dad, right? Like everybody's has a mum because you've been born. Like it's just like, you know what I mean? Some people don't have father figures. I did have a father figure. And then removing him from my daily life was tough.
Yeah.
And I kind of just felt like, well, why isn't he here anymore? He's not leaving because of something I've done. He's not leaving because like I'm a bad son or anything like that. I didn't even think those things. It was just like, oh, well, I actually really quite like having my dad around. Like, why is he not there anymore? Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that was weird transitional period, but then it also probably made me closer to other members of my family that I might not have been before, because then I was 12. So I understood then, it's like, oh, well, actually, my nan isn't just the lady who I go and see for like nice roast dinners and buys me sweets and candy every time I go around the house. Like, actually, my nan is really helpful to my mum, my dad, and me. Kind of, when I look back on it now, I appreciated my relationship with my grandparents more, I think, because they naturally try and like protect the children,
Interesting. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I remember we spoke before about this, and I remember you telling me that, the thing that you really looked forward to as a result of your dad no longer being around was the football, the weekends. Can you tell me? Now, actually, this is quite a funny opportunity, because when we did that little video for the Bali Story Lab page, a lot of people were saying, we want to hear more, we want to know the full story. So can you talk a bit more about like your first experiences with football and the sort of like the sort of role that played in your childhood, I guess?
Yeah, there was a lot of people actually that said like, can you do a longer one? I was like, actually, I'd quite like to do that. So here we are. So my dad was the manager of the team. So I was a goalkeeper. This is actually quite funny because I'd never wanted to be a goalkeeper, ever. I hated it. I was like, why do I want to stand between the sticks when I could be putting it in there? So one day, the goalkeeper of our team, when my dad had just taken over as the manager, we were like 8 years old, maybe 9 years old, and it was raining in a tournament, and my dad's very much like, we'll treat the kids like they're a bit older. So then one of the parents who wasn't like that was like, oh, I don't want him to play in the rain. He's not playing in the rain. So he's like, right, go on then, boy, go in, you're in goal. I'm like, what do you mean I'm in goal? So because I was the manager's son, like I'm the first option when we're in a tournament quarter-final, and it's like, well, someone's got to do it, so it's you, boy.
Tall enough to play goalkeeper as well?
I wasn't at the time.
Were you small?
I was a late spurter.
Really?
Yeah, big time.
Oh, I'm jealous.
So I went in goal and I did very well. And I think we lost in the final or something. But I did very well. So then it naturally stuck. And as much as I actually hated being a goalie, but it was like, football was not just about like where I was playing and am I scoring a goal. For me, it was more just like I looked forward to those Wednesday night training sessions, the Sunday game, looking at the day after or something in the newspaper, or the Thursday after in the newspaper, the write-up, whatever. Like if I saved the penalty, like my name would be in there, or there'd be like a black and white picture or something in there. No, I think it was colour, but I think it's black and white, the cheap little free newspaper they do locally.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just more just like a building of like a social group. Like a lot of the people that were in my football team are still my friends now from home. Obviously living far away now, but like those are the people I keep in touch with, as opposed to like just people I hung out with or was idiots with in school.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it played such a massive role, and it kind of made that time more special, because then we'd watch football together with my dad on Saturday. Then we'd go father and son, play and win and experience all of those things, but like actually doing it on a Sunday. So it kind of kept us still very, very close.
Yeah, and I guess, you explained that feeling before of, well, parents aren't together anymore, and I like having my dad around, but he's not. So, like, how much did you look forward to that time when you could be together at the weekends with football?
I mean, I think kids are just like, you don't want to go to school. I liked school for being like silly.
Yeah.
But I could do that at home.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need to go here. Like, why am I here for 6.5 hours a day?
Yeah.
So I think it just kind of went hand in hand that if I did see my dad on the weekends, I still see him like sometimes in the week and stuff. On a Tuesday night, we'd go to my nan's house, have some food, whatever. But then every weekend became even more fun then, because it's like, I get to go out and hang out with my dad this weekend, and we're going to watch football together, and we're going to go and play. And we had such a good team. We were winning trophies, getting medals and stuff. That's what it's all about. So I think it just made that like natural kid who doesn't like school that much look forward to the weekends, live for the weekend, whatever. It just made that even more better, I guess.
Yeah. And you said before as well about your grandparents. You said that, they kind of protected you when you were growing up. Like, can you tell me a bit about that? And also, like, what's your family dynamic like now?
Yeah. So it's actually the first time I've ever talked about this on camera. But my mum and I, from that divorce period, it was very difficult, because when you're a kid, you always want to blame someone for something. And whatever reason it may have been at the time, I blame my mum for not being able to see my dad every day. So it was like there was a resentment building from like 11, 12, 13. And then obviously as you get older, you go through hormonal changes, you become obnoxious. I am still that today. But like back then it was worse, because like I'm like, well, now I'm 15, 16. I feel like I should be doing whatever I want to do, because I'm becoming a young adult now. So then when I was 16, I moved out of the house with my mum, because we were just fighting like cat and dog every day, super unhealthy. And I moved in with my grandma, because she wanted to have me there. She goes to work all the time. So I wasn't going to be a burden to her in terms of like, am I in the way here? She had like a little tiny house. So that was where I then went, and I spoke to my mum, but didn't see her very often. Still seeing my dad a lot too. He has a wife, and my mum also has a partner who she's still with now, and they've both been with them since the divorce. So yeah, then I moved in with my nan. And that's where the YouTube thing started, because I was like, well, now I'm here, and my mum doesn't keep on unplugging the internet box, which she used to do to me, which I still tell her to this day, pissed me off.
Bit triggering.
I mean, like, I was getting good at Call of Duty, Now, like, you're in the middle of a game and someone just pulls the plug because I'm being rude. Okay.
Was that because she wanted you to be studying, or what was the?
Well, a bit of that, but more also like I just back chat all the time.
Right.
And
Okay. You're cheeky.
like, very rude and obnoxious.
Right. So your talking was used in more of a negative context back then,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah. I think it's like a very common teenager thing.
Sure.
Just to back myself here for a little second. It's okay, George. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
So then I moved in with my nan.
Yeah. Lovely. And what's your relationship like with your nan now?
I love my nan.
Yeah.
She will do anything for me, and I miss her a lot. Probably the person I miss the most, actually, from being in Bali, for sure. Oh, I'll get emotional there talking about her. But yeah, I love my nan. I still talk to her quite frequently on the phone, send her text messages. She's had a sore throat quite a lot recently, so I call and you're like, you don't really want to talk, do you? And she's like, yeah, call me back on Sunday. Call her back. Hello, croaky. But yeah, she's great.
That's beautiful, mate. It's so important to have those family relationships. People you can call upon. Like, I think you were saying this to me recently. Like, even now when we're adults now, we're youngish, but we're adults now. But even now, when things in your life don't feel quite right, the first thing you want to do is you want to call up your parent or your nan or whoever it is, and you want to get a proverbial hug.
Yeah, it helps. My mum's actually really good for this, and I think because we had such like a torrid mother and son relationship for a while. Now we're even closer.
Oh, that's amazing.
So like the first thing I do, if I'm having a bad day or something's upset me or pissed me off and I just need like, not even advice, because like I tend to think I don't need advice, but then the advice comes from the comfort that comes from knowing it's like, don't know what you've done, George, I don't know how bad it is, but like, I'm your mother. So I'm going to be there to comfort you and help you, guide you through what you're feeling, because when I'm annoyed about something or upset with something, I boil over. And then it's like when I hear my mum's voice and my mum talks me through it, I'm like, yeah, of course it's like that. And then as a solution finder, which I am, then I come to a solution quicker because she's just calmed me down. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so like, that's really interesting because it sounds like, as many young boys' emotions are, your emotions were all over the place at that time.
Yeah,
but now
still are at times.
Well, yeah, for sure, for everybody. But now it sounds like you found a system that works for managing it. I want to ask you about, you know, those school years and your interests and how things sort of progressed for you, because like you've sort of painted this picture of like a very sort of unhappy, sort of tumultuous young man who's like a bit all over the
Great
place,
word.
really.
It's one of my favourites.
Yeah, it's a great word, tumultuous, plus 10 points. You kind of painted this picture, so like, what did that look like in the classroom? And I kind of know already, but I don't think you had much interest in school, right?
Nah, I didn't. I was like, when is the spider point gonna come up here? But that actually being scared of spiders came from a kid in preschool doing this with me and being like, boo, and obviously you jump, and then once he did it with a spider in his hand, and then through association, making me jump.
That's the first thing you can remember.
Yeah, that's my earliest memory.
That's crazy.
Yeah, because obviously now it's still just like.
So now you love spiders.
I hate them. No, I'm fascinated by them because they're cool. Like spiders are just cool. They are. You know what I mean? But anyway, back to the point. Where were we?
You know, this isn't chronological, so don't worry about when the spider thing comes up.
No, I was looking at it. I was like,
No, I was asking about your school years and what
Yeah.
school was for you as an experience, and I want to understand, you know, like how you ended up progressing into that like YouTube sphere and being a content creator and whatnot.
I think like I had my subjects I liked and I had the ones I just didn't care about. So if I didn't care about it, I'm not going to try. I'm not going to make any effort. Like I loved geography. I thought geography was really cool. I loved physics. I was really good at physics. Chemistry and biology just wasn't interested in any of those things. English language was quite cool. Literature I loved because it was all about interpretation, how you can read things. You can't really be wrong. So it's kind of just like your mind can go AWOL with literature because you can interpret the way that someone writes something however you wish, which is the beauty of reading, I guess. So I had the subjects I liked and the ones I didn't like. And the ones I didn't like when you get your school report, they used to rank everything between 1 and 4 for like effort or lack of effort, whatnot. So there was homework, classwork, behaviour. Behaviour is always like a 3 or a 4 because I just didn't behave. But I also was like, well, everyone finds me funny. So I like that side of things and my grades are okay. So you can't like penalise me for it because like I'm still doing the work. It's not like I didn't do anything. Didn't ever revise for anything because I can't concentrate. So I was like, I either know it or I don't. So like, yeah, like I didn't.
And presumably you didn't because you didn't revise.
No, I did know it.
How?
Common sense, isn't it? Like when you get taught
there
something.
You go, kids. You're worried about your GCSEs. Common sense.
No, but this is the thing. Like, there's only so many parts of what you learn in school that are like, this is this.
Sure.
The rest is about elaboration. It's about building upon, explaining.
Yeah.
And like now, why I answer saying talking.
Yeah.
It's the same with an exam.
Yeah.
So even if I didn't listen and I wasn't paying attention to when I was first told it, as long as I know the principles of it, which is just like a couple of points for the majority of the time with certain things, chemistry.
Yeah.
That's why I was very bad at chemistry. Because actually now I've got to study things. And I've got to be like, how many... No.
I guess it makes sense with the literature there.
It's not interesting.
I mean, you told me this before and I was just sort of like, yeah, I don't believe you because I remember having to study like A Midsummer Night's Dream and like 20 quotes or whatever to get like a decent grade.
To be fair, I lucked out. Like on the morning of, I just had like a little list of things that were just like, this will probably come up because it didn't come up for like 4 years, 5 years or whatever. So it's probably going to be about this, and it was. So I actually kind of lucked out a little bit too. It could have been a disaster if it wasn't. Because I didn't know them quotes, man. I didn't have them quotes in my brain. But,
well, you know, I was actually going to say, so for anyone who's wondering, this wall behind us, I've tried to make this studio space a very intimate, personal space, and all these photos on the wall or these pictures or whatever they are, they all mean something to me. They're all things from my life, and I've sort of made a commitment to myself that while I do this, I'm going to be quite vulnerable and open too. And you actually triggered a thought in me. So that picture there, this one where I'm pretending to cry, this one is me in front of the Abbey Church at my boarding school that I went to for 5 years.
Because you don't like churches.
Yeah, exactly. They make me break down. But no, I went to a Catholic boarding school in North Yorkshire, and it was a very interesting experience to say the least. But it's so funny. It's so funny. Like, my experience there obviously affected me hugely. It was. I mean, as everyone's school experience does, mine was kind of a bit strange and a bit.
Formulation years.
Yeah, mine was a bit strange and a bit intense. But you were talking about literature before, and it triggered this memory in me where I was in class once, and I was in quite low sets for stuff because I'd moved. I grew up in Scotland, and I'd moved from the Scottish education system to England. So I was like on a different curriculum from everybody else. Yeah. So when I got there, the teachers
special kid, mate.
Mate, well, when I got there, the teachers just sort of assumed that I was stupid. Yeah. Because I didn't know anything about what we were talking about because I'd been in a different school system. I was also like yourself. I did pretty much no work, so that didn't really help. But regardless, I wasn't an idiot, but I think everyone thought I was one. And I remember being in very low sets for everything. And I was in one of the lowest sets for English, but I'd always really enjoyed English. Yeah. And I remember there was this time, it was GCSE year, and the teachers kind of sort of said to everybody, show of hands for anyone who's thinking about doing English at A-level. And I was a very underconfident kid. Like, I was very nervous. I was very
didn't
shy.
Want to say yeah.
Well, no, I did, but I remember my overwhelming feeling when I was that age was I wasn't very good at anything. I felt crap at everything.
You're an all-rounder.
I'm an all-rounder in the worst kind of way. Yeah, that's a nice way of saying master of none, basically. I'm barely a jack of all trades. So yeah, and I remember the teacher saying this, and I put my hand up, and this kid in my class turned around and he laughed in my face, and he was like, "You can't do that." He was like, "You're an idiot." And I remember this moment because the teacher, he was called Dr. Moses, absolute legend.
Dr. Moses, what a name.
Big shout to Dr. Moses. He was a sick guy. He was amazing.
Big world.
But I remember he turned to the kid and he said, actually, I think Harry would be an excellent candidate for English. And I still remember that to this day because there was not many times through those years where I felt like, wow, this person actually sees something in me, you know? But you just triggered that memory in me. It's interesting.
Those moments are the big ones too, where it's like if you're underconfident, like I had friends from different like social circles, I guess you could say, in school. Like you have like the sporty kids, you have like the science geeky kids, and you've got like the artsy craftsy people, and then you've just got like, I don't know, there's loads of different groups of people, but I was never really like part of one, but more so of like all, because I just got on with loads of different kinds of people. So like I might be annoying, but I'm not going to be a bully. Yeah. And then I'm also not going to be like a fighter when these worlds within the school environment collide. I'm just like, oh, I know you're not going to punch me in the face. I know you're not going to punch me in the face because I'm mates with all of you. Like, what's wrong with you people? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I was always very inclusive in that sense because, like, I like different things about different people.
I've noticed this about you. And
definitive.
That environment for me, I would describe it as exclusive. I think it was very cliquey. I think the people that were there, everyone kind of had their own little groups, and that was it, basically. You said other people see you as a bit crazy, you believe, which is interesting. So let's talk about that, because I think some of the decisions you made in your early years would feed into that. So tell me about, so you've left school at 16, right?
Yeah. 17. 16, 17. Yeah.
And where did the YouTube thing start? And just tell me about like where your headspace was at that point.
YouTube thing started from Call of Duty. Yeah. So I used to love playing Call of Duty on the PlayStation, Xbox. Had both for some stupid reason. You need both. Yeah, cool, lucky. But then I was watching videos to get better, and then I was like, well, now I'm actually quite good. The videos have actually helped me, and I'm pretty good now. So why don't I make my own? So I started making my own videos, and I started that.
What drew you to that? Was that part of being the entertainer in your class and all that sort of thing?
I was like, these are actually really entertaining. Like, I find this quite fun to watch. So let's try it. And I think that was when I was still in school. So when I started it, like it's awful. Like based on self-reflection and how I can sit here and talk to you now in front of a camera, or, you know, look at a lens and waffle for 15 minutes without breathing, like with no problem whatsoever. Like the first commentaries I did, And again, to bring it back to what I said earlier, it's not a conversational thing. It was like a monotonous, right, this is what I've got to do, this is what I've got to say. And if I was 4 or 5 minutes in to like a 7-minute video and then I'd make one error, it would be wash it off, start again kind of thing. And I think you have to, and again, the creative space it's scary to start with because like you don't know if you want to be fully seen on camera. You don't know if you feel comfortable with it. Are you even any good? Is anyone going to actually like what I do? And I was just getting laughed at in school. So like this little geeky kid who bunks off school to play Call of Duty. It's not even like I was going to smoke a joint under the flipping bridge or something. I was just literally going there to drink Monster, eat Doritos and game. But yeah, like it was kind of spontaneous, but I guess also kind of not because I didn't even know you could make money for a start. No one was making money. But like
this was early in the game.
Yeah. Like one of my friends just introduced me to like these COD guys. And I was like, yo, these guys are the coolest people ever. Like, they're so good. I want to be this good. So it just flowed from there. Yeah.
So you start making videos.
Yeah.
How does that become a thing?
So I saved enough money. I had a job cleaning. I actually loved it too. It was like hoovering up people's crap out in an office and mopping the floors. Toilets as well. It was actually quite fun. Just put a podcast in, which was a gaming podcast too. Just walk around listening to that on my headphones. Got paid cash at the end of the week, which is lovely. And then whatever I was doing at the weekend, just spend it probably on Doritos, Monster, and Domino's Pizza to play more games. And that was like 5 days a week. Saved up enough from all the money that I wasn't spending on sweets. And then bought a HD PVR, which is like nowadays you get like this little thing like that.
Yeah.
But like put a pick up on the screen. It's like these big, bulky boxes that have like 10 fat, thick cables in the back of them. And I saved up for one of those, and I was like, right, now I can capture the game. Now people can see my Call of Duty, put my headset on, do a commentary over the top of it, and now people can get out of it what I got out of someone else.
Yeah.
So that's how it started.
Yeah.
That's where it's at.
And that's where it's at. One of your favourite YouTube guys. What's his name again?
Big Jake.
Big Jake.
Barbecue Jake, mate.
Shout out Barbecue
this guy,
Jake.
Unbelievable.
Big up Barbecue Jake. We need to get him out for a collab.
We do.
So I want to understand your YouTube journey really because like I know it a little bit, but I think there's people out there that remember you. Is it HurderofBuffalo the name people remember you under?
Why? I know why they remember it, but like, why did I call it this?
I don't know.
I don't know why I called it that.
Yeah. What was it? What was this COD channel HurderofBuffalo?
Yeah.
Right.
So like there's so many screwed up things about this. It's all comedy, but like I got recommended this name when Xbox give you like you should call yourself this.
Yeah.
Like there was something that was very close to HurderofBuffalo.
Well, it's like
that was on there.
It's like, you know the rapper Childish Gambino. Wu-Tang Clan used to have a Wu-Tang rap name generator.
Yeah.
And that's how he got his name, Childish Gambino.
Really? I didn't know that.
He put the name Donald Glover, which is his real name, into the name generator, and he got Childish Gambino back.
Wow.
So it's similar story.
It makes so much sense when you say it now.
Yeah. It's a sick name though, so fair enough.
There was also a guy who I used to watch, this American guy, who had, he always used to talk about baby buffalo as like the little shit players in Call of Duty that you just keep picking off. So there was like a mixture of those two things that named it that, and then I still spell herder wrong. So there's
You spelled herder wrong?
Yeah. Herder is not spelled H-U-R-D-E-R the way that it was on my YouTube channel. The way it is on my gold plaque too. It's like, well, this guy's illiterate. Actually, spelling was my best thing in school. So yeah, I named it that based off of all of those things, which is kind of funny, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
It was spelt wrong the whole time.
Yeah, and tell me about the channel.
Channel was my baby, to be honest. Like there was different periods, and then the first thing that really took off. And at first it was just like, I like COD, I'm going to make COD videos, I want to be a Call of Duty YouTuber. Cool. Then I started doing impressions. Family Guy specifically.
Yeah.
No one was really doing like voice trolling and stuff at the time.
But you're unbelievable.
It's not bad, is it?
You're unbelievable impressions.
It's pretty good.
Sometimes we'll just be sat around and George will start doing impressions. I'm just like, the first time he did it, I didn't know any of this. And I was just like, what?
I have a little knack, like where I hear someone speak, and then without even knowing that I can do it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I started doing that, and I remember waking up the next day, and the video had 100,000 views, which was about 80,000 views more.
What was that feeling like when you like wake up and see 100,000 views on it? Yeah.
Like, and at the time, this is like 2013.
Yeah.
So this is like, YouTube is not as big as it is now.
Yeah.
You can get 100,000 views. Some people get 1 million in an hour. Mr. Beast, whatever. So like when I saw that, I'm like, maybe I should be doing a bit more of this because like it would be cool to be a YouTuber. So I started doing more like impressions, different voices. Then it became less about like me playing and giving tips and stuff, and it was more just about being funny, silly. And from there, that snowballed quick. So I kind of like eased into doing that. And then I was like, right, now it's too much. Like, 250,000 views on this one. We got to do this every day. We got to make this the thing now, because like it was nice to get that attention, you know, just be like.
So you were thinking,
whoa,
it's interesting because
like
you haven't actually mentioned the money once, and
there was none.
There was no money at that point.
No.
So it was purely a validation thing.
Yeah, just like
an enjoyment, of course.
Oh, it's because it's fun.
Yeah.
You know, like the amount of times I would sit there on the headset at night playing Call of Duty, winding people up. I was crying with laughter at myself. I'm like, I'm good at winding these people up. You know what I mean? Like, I'm good at it. So it's just fun, bro. Do you know what I mean? And like, that was the time where there weren't many YouTubers.
Yeah.
You know, I got my 1 million subscriber button in 2015.
Right.
I think it is.
So early doors, yeah.
And it was like, they actually released a book of how many people were getting their buttons that year.
Yeah.
Like I was in there. And the book ain't that long. It's not that big. So it was like a big deal.
Yeah.
You know? So that HurderofBuffalo channel just kept evolving over time. From like Call of Duty, over time. Voice trolling.
I'll cut that.
And then... No, don't cut it. Okay. Call of Duty, voice trolling. Then I was doing like videos on chat roulette and Omegle, because it was like natural progression.
You're one of those little perverts.
No, I wasn't. I was being perverted on. No, I had to suffer many a penis that I didn't want to see.
You're a good-looking boy. I can see why that would have happened.
Thank you, Harry.
Yeah.
But it was like, from there, like how to evolve the Call of Duty stuff.
Yeah.
Because now I'm actually caring about it, and now I've started to make some money now. So it's like, well, this is a job now. Like this is an actual job, much to my dad's disbelief.
Yeah.
When he picks me up from 2 universities, because I didn't want to do any work there. I just wanted to make vids.
It's hard to know where to go with this at times, because there's so much to talk about with you.
There is so much.
But in amongst this, you dropped out of university twice as well.
Twice.
Yeah.
I'm a double Kanye, university dropout. Yeah. Like the first one was just, I made the wrong call. I went to Swansea University, which is just not my favourite place in the world. It's cold even in September. Don't like that.
Big drinking culture at the Welsh universities
There's
as well.
a big drinking culture there.
I had a friend who went to Cardiff for a week and dropped out.
I was there for 10 days. The night before going out on a student night, I called my dad. I was like, look, I don't like it here. I've looked through my course notes and it's all algebra and maths, and I was here to manage businesses. This to me isn't how to manage a business. Don't like it. Please come and get me.
It's business management you were studying.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
And then that night, I went to Oceania in Swansea and got knocked out for no reason. Like, apparently, according to the police, not that they did too much about it, they said that there was an organised fight that night outside the toilets at this time. I was stood out there.
And they thought you were part of it?
They thought I was the guy. So like, I got these fucking big, massive blokes going and pummeling me. Next thing I know, I'm awake in Oceania Hospital in the club.
That's a classic case of wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah.
Right?
My dad got me the next day, to be fair, because I was in hospital all night because I'd done my nose in.
That's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, but I was just so happy. I was like, punch me again if he don't come. Like, someone do it again. He's going to come after the second time.
Damn, bro.
But yeah, he picked me up. They picked me up. And then I kept doing YouTube throughout that. Didn't quite make it to a point where it was bringing enough revenue.
And then did you
not go to uni again?
Reapply to university again?
Yeah, radio production.
Right.
Which is just like...
So then you're starting to think more along the lines of what do I actually enjoy?
Yeah, but what a dead degree. Like,
sorry, radio production.
Right, just go and make things.
It's very specific.
Yeah, and it just did, again, it didn't make any sense. I was like, I'm getting more experience by just saying, can I do football radio for the hospital on the weekend? We were doing that with my mate Chris.
Yeah.
And then making videos. And I just thought, well, I'm spending all this money to do something creative.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't care about the history of radio that much. Like, I'll learn that when I'm 50, when I'm bored and I'm like, got my own show, or I'm on TV maybe, or somewhere else.
Yeah.
So I just thought, well, this is also rubbish.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, it's really a pointless degree, and I don't want to disregard anybody who's spent the effort to get one.
It all depends on what you need to get to where you want to be, and you didn't need it. But some people, maybe they need the formality of a degree to get them to that place.
That's true.
So
it
entirely depends on what you're looking for, and you're obviously a massive self-starter, so if you wasn't...
I'm a big advocate for just like, if you don't have to learn, just do it yourself.
Yeah, sure.
Like, I'm not good at following tutorials, really.
Yeah.
To do manual things.
Yeah.
Just do it, get it wrong, whatever, doesn't matter, just do it again.
Love that. And your dad had you on the building site around this time as well, didn't he?
He did, yeah. He had me into work, which was actually really fun because, again, like, male camaraderie. It was my granddad, my dad, and me. and then a couple of other guys who my dad works with who I also think are brilliant. And it's just like, just bantering, you know? Because now I'm like 18, I'm a young man, I'm confident, very confident, and it's just like I'm part of the boys.
Maybe too confident.
Yeah, at times, for sure, definitely. But no, I really enjoyed that. And then in the evenings, I'd make my videos. I don't understand this, right? My nan never complained. This is why I love my nan so much. Because imagine you got this guy just doing a Peter Griffin impression all night long on a headset. What am I doing? And how has she not heard me? We ain't got these phones on the wall. Like, I don't know how she had the patience with me, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was doing that, working with my dad on the side, on the building site, which I actually quite enjoyed, to be honest.
Yeah.
I've never said a bad word about it. It's a bit long, but
yeah,
cold hands, but whatever.
Not the ambition, but you know, it was all right.
Yeah, no, it wasn't what I want to do forever.
But back to this HurderofBuffalo thing. So you do that, you get quite big, you start doing travel vlogs.
Yeah, that was fun.
And you're making good money from it. Like, so tell me about building that channel. You said it was your baby before, but it's not your baby anymore.
Yeah, it's the proudest work I'd say I've ever done.
Right.
Because it was not easy, you know. I was doing a daily vlog every day for like 3.5 years. I missed some, but very few. And it got to a point where, you know, I was getting paid like 25 bags by a tourism board to go and jump out of helicopters with ski shoes on. Like the things you can only dream of. And I remember being very, very young. And I was like, one family holiday a year abroad. I was in Spain, and every time we'd fly from like Malaga or wherever it was back to the UK, I'd be like, oh, I love it where it's sunny. Like, I wish I could live here. I wish I could be in Spain. Go over the mountains, you're looking out, you kind of got tears in your eyes. You've got to wait another year for a holiday. And then all of a sudden now I'm getting paid really serious money to do all of this, film it all, have all the videos as memories, which is what I saw it as really, like a memory bank for the future, for my kids, grandkids, whatever. And it was literally the dream, mate. Like, insane. I've been to nearly 50 countries, and most of it comes from that time when I was doing the travel vlogs, videos.
And so you must have been one of like the bigger early YouTubers. So like, where did you sort of sit in that scene? Because obviously we all think about guys like KSI and the Sidemen and whatnot. Like, where did you sit in amongst all of that?
I mean, I was doing videos of all them lot.
Right.
KSI.
So I don't know any of this because I never saw any of your. I have no idea about this stuff.
But then it was kind of when I hit 1 million subscribers, I was like, right, screw this, I'm not doing this anymore.
What, the Sidemen stuff?
Like the HurderofBuffalo stuff.
Right.
It got to a point where after about 700, 800,000, I was like, I want to be doing vlogs. Because I was inspired by vloggers, and I thought the life looked cooler than just sitting in my room all day, every day, playing games. Like, as you grow up, you grow out of things, you grow into things. And I was like, I don't like gaming anymore.
Yeah.
Like, even now, like, the new FIFA's out. Oh, cool. EAFC now, but like.
But it's interesting to me, like, I know you were never in the Sidemen, but like, it's interesting to me that you chose to evolve away from that scene, whereas they all kind of stayed together and evolved together.
Yeah. Like, I mean, everyone's got their own reasons behind it. And so many people come to me and they're like, but you had such a big channel, you were doing so well. And I was like, yeah, but I wasn't happy doing it. By the ending, like, I was doing that for
what did that feel like?
Quite empowering, actually. Because it was like, well, I know how to build an audience now, and now it's my job and this is how I earn money. It's important, unless I want to be cleaning offices again, that I can utilize what I've learned from that process and put it somewhere else. So I opened up the vlogging channel vertical as an opportunity really to do whatever I wanted every day, every night, and get paid for it.
Okay, so question, I've always wanted to ask you this.
Go for it.
You have now managed to build 2 massive YouTube channels successfully. 3, apologies. 4 if you count the other new one. But you said to me you know how to build an audience now. So everyone's going to be wondering that's watching this, how do you build an audience? It's a big question, but...
You've got to be very authentic to... If you ask, how do I build an audience?
Well, yeah, how do you see that? You said you know how to build an audience, so what would you answer?
You have to just be as authentic as you possibly can and love what you're doing so much that it doesn't feel like work.
And that speaks to consistency.
Yes, and you have to be consistent. When I'm not consistent now, it's actually just more of an irritation than anything else because I know I can be. So when I'm not, it's kind of like, oh, well, I could be doing this, but I'm not doing it, but it's okay. Because I know that actually the reason people watch me is because throughout all of the years of what I've been doing, I've always been true to myself. I've never put the views, the potential collabs, the money over just being comfortable and happy and proud of what I'm doing in front of the camera. So in order to build an audience and actually sustain it and stick with it for so long, if you're someone like me who just wakes up one morning and doesn't like something for no reason and then jogs off, you've got to know exactly what it is you're doing and be happy to wake up and do it every day without fail. And I don't even do that. I'm not a consistent YouTuber. That's why I pick up projects and drop them just like that. But I'm like, well, I don't have to answer to you. Who are you to tell me that I don't care anymore? Like, I do care, but I care about myself more.
Yeah.
Which some people are, oh, you're so selfish. I'm like, well, how do you think I can just be so confident in so many different areas of life if I'm not being honest with myself every day? If I'm not congruent with what I say and what I do, then I'm a fraud.
Where do you think that comfortability with who you are as a person comes from? Because I know that was something for me. Like, it took me a long time to understand myself, and I'm still going through it now. Like everyone is, but you know, there's obviously people at varying stages at varying times. But where do you think that comes from? Because you know, it sounds like you've always done what you wanted to do. So so was it there from quite early on? And how do you perceive it, I suppose?
I mean, I think I'd say 2 words to describe me are impulsive and spontaneous. Very impulsive. But it's just figuring out how to operate within the parameters of what that can be. Like, sometimes if you're a kid and you're impulsive and spontaneous, you might look at the first cigarette and be like, right, I'm a smoker now. Right, I take drugs now. For me, it was just more a creative thing where it's like, I don't like this, so I'll do this instead. Don't like that, so I'm just going to do this instead. And having the confidence to do it just came from the confidence within myself to know that in order for me to be successful in whatever it is I'm doing, I have to enjoy myself. But same as in school. Yeah, don't like it, I'm not going to be good at it. I'm not going to do well in it.
But also it's the bit I'm more interested in is the fact you've always been able to be yourself with whatever it is that you are doing.
Yeah.
And that really interests me. Like, I mean, that's hard. There's so many people who put on a character or, you know, they put on some kind of act.
Yeah.
But you just said, like, the number one thing is your authenticity.
Yeah. I think, like, an analogy I came up with a few years ago was, like, take the Rome Colosseum, yeah? The modern world is a load of people that aren't gladiators fighting to be stood in the middle and be seen by as many people as possible as, like, the best. I didn't need to do that. I don't need to do that. I don't need people to see me as something. I just need to see myself as what I'm happy with and proud of. And I think if you get so caught up in that idea of we're all fighting to be stood on a podium forever, then you can only lose. There can only be one guy as number one. And I didn't need to be number one. I just needed to be my own number one. And I think the confidence to do that came from actually just not really caring about clout, not really caring necessarily about money. I've not got a very good relationship with money. Been very bad with money, but I've made a lot. But I've spent it all. Openly admit that. I've spent all the money I've ever earned. Every single penny of it. But like, I just love life. I love doing the things I love to do, and I'll just do more of it.
So that I love that.
Yeah.
So that mindset that you just described to me, you deleted the Herder of Buffalo channel, right?
No, I didn't delete that one.
Or
the vlog. Deleted.
Yeah.
Gone.
Yeah. But the channel doesn't exist anymore,
No.
does it? No.
Which is such a shame.
Yeah.
Because those videos are actually amazing.
But, like, you tell people this, like, I had a 1 million subscriber channel and I just was done with it, so I got rid of it. Like,
Yeah.
what, like, talk me through that.
I mean, like, I wanted to, the reason I deleted the vlog channel was to try and get the vlogs on the 1 million channel, because I was like, this channel's huge. Like, there's got to be something I can do with it. But again, I only want to be a vlogger, so I ain't bringing back the impressions, guys, but let's just stick those there. YouTube's also a science. There's an algorithm. There are things it likes, things it doesn't like. It basically didn't work, so I was like, screw it. I give up with it. I'm not going to like let the channel keep dying, because eventually it's not sustainable. You have to get a certain amount of views on a video to get paid enough to get brands to want to work with you because you're still popular, and then otherwise, like, a career will end. YouTube career will end. And then after that, that's when, 4 years ago now? So I'd already been doing it all for 8 years, including 3.5 years of vlogging every single day. Then the Chelsea idea popped up. That's how that birthed, because I was like, I think I'm at a point now where if ever I wasn't going to be able to do this anymore, it's going to be now. But have I exhausted everything?
How'd that Chelsea idea come up?
I was bored out of my brains in Sweden, in Stockholm, with no friends other than my girlfriend at the time who was there. She was at work. And I was like, what can I bloody do to just like cure the boredom, but also like spent all my money, got to do something.
Your dad was a Chelsea fan, right, as well?
Yes, he was.
So it was like an easy introduction into.
Well, I think the first video was like why men and women don't get paid the same amount in football, which is a fascinating topic because it's like, you know, I thought it was a bit controversial, so I actually tried to do that to get a few views on it. Didn't happen. But then the Chelsea stuff, I'm just like, I could talk with Chelsea to flipping can of Coke.
Yeah.
Or this wooden table, or that vape, or this vaporizer, or anything. Like, there's no way this can go wrong.
I hope you're enjoying the lavender, by the way.
I do. It's a very fresh aroma.
We need the relaxation in it.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
But no, the Chelsea thing was an obvious one, actually. At the time, it wasn't. It was like we'll give it a go. But that was always going to happen eventually.
Yeah.
Because I'm obsessed with football.
Yeah. So
Super Frank, mate.
Super Frankie Lampard, my favourite player of all time. My dad. Maybe not so much now, but everyone at school used to say my dad looked very similar to Lampard. So
good-looking bloke, mate. He's a legend.
My dad's a good-looking man. Obviously that's how we actually met because we're both Chelsea fans.
Yeah.
Luckily. But tell me about your experiences with Chelsea. I mean, what does Chelsea mean to you? Obviously, it's like how you make your living now, which is it's an interesting dynamic. But what does Chelsea mean to you? Tell me some of your experiences being a Chelsea fan.
I think it's just like with Chelsea. It's the only consistent thing I've ever had in my life. And it's the only thing that no matter what, like, impulsiveness, spontaneity, changes in life, location, I'm always going to support Chelsea. I always did. My dad was a Chelsea fan. And some of my earliest Chelsea memories were around my nan's house, watching Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank, Zola, Di Matteo, eating a Sunday roast while we beat Man United at Old Trafford. Those kind of little things, you know. And I just loved it. I was like, my dad's going mad. He's so happy. So then, like, naturally, like, okay, now I'm happy now. I guess I'm a Chelsea fan now. And then as I've grown up, it's just become an obsession. Like, when I was a kid, I used to write football scores out and make things up, have a bingo machine, do my FA Cup draws, 64 teams, stick 64 numbers in there, we'll draw them out, roll a dice, that's the score. St Albans won the FA Cup with one of mine. Like, you know? That's what I was doing every day.
Paper Football Manager.
My mum's kept it. Like there is literally boxes upon boxes of full A4 documents of like all of this football writing I used to do. I used to use the old Pro Evo, triangle for a draw, circle for a win, X for a loss.
That's crazy.
All handwritten, all of it, until we did a World Cup when I went on holiday with my friend in Cornwall, and we played all the games. But it would all be made up as we were going along. Yeah. He's the goalie, or I'm the goalie, or whatever, and we'd commentate out loud whilst we're playing. And like his dad would film some of it as well sometimes. It was so much fun. And I was doing that every weekend when I was a kid, you know? And I think that was just like, football was always a part. Playing it, training, writing it, watching it. It was just, life was football. Yeah.
And some of your memories watching Chelsea. I mean, like, if I say to you, like, Chelsea, like, what are the Chelsea match day experiences, away days? Like, what are some of the memories that pop into your head? I
think, like, the best feelings are the Champions League wins, because that's just, like, the pinnacle of club football.
Yeah.
But, like, actually seeing us lift the trophy, like, I cry every time.
Yeah.
Every time. Or losing a final.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't contain it, because it's just, like, it's either ecstasy or it's disaster.
I remember, what was it? What was it, 19th of May we won the Champions League, 2012?
Yeah. 29th and 19th.
There you go, 9th of May. I remember I was in my uni house in Manchester, and we were watching the game, like a couple of my mates were Man U fans, they were supporting Bayern Munich. Me and my mate Cal were the Chelsea fans in the house. And the Drogba penalty went in. I can still remember watching it and just being like...
Pure disbelief.
I had no breath. I couldn't do anything.
Yeah, I couldn't speak.
And the ball went in, and my mate Cal went absolutely mental. He ran outside. He had a bottle of beer. He was like spraying everywhere. Yeah. I was just in the corner of the room crying, like inconsolably crying. Like, I had a pillow. I was like rocking like if anyone had walked in, they wouldn't even thought I was happy. Like I broke down because it was, I love stories. Yeah. And it was that story of that group of players together. It was one last hurrah. They weren't. They were all past their peak.
Yeah.
And it was just so poetic the way that they went and won that game. Backs to the wall, the journey through the Champions League. It was. I think there was a documentary called Against All the Odds.
Yeah, very good one.
It was absolutely incredible, and it speaks to the parts of the game that are really hard to quantify.
Yeah.
And there was something magic about that run. It was incredible. And actually, not that this is a Chelsea podcast, but when you look at what the team has now, it's got the exact opposite qualities of what we had in those players.
I know,
then.
but it makes those memories even more poignant.
I feel emotional just talking about it now.
Yeah,
It's like
Like when I watch the videos now, I still get tears in my eyes every single time.
It's incredible.
Like, I don't know if it's like the attachment to the commentary, or actually just that right. I don't think, as much as I've had amazing life and experiences, nothing beats those.
I'm getting shivers right now thinking about Drogba scoring
my
that
hair's
penalty.
going up
mine
on
as
my
well.
arm.
When I think about Drogba, that short run-up he did for that penalty.
And then the commentary as well. Like, I think the best one I liked,
the greatest night in the history of Chelsea
Clive
Football Club.
Tildesley, bro.
Yeah.
Like, watch this, because all the commentators are on different like TV shows. So you get like the different ones. You got the Peter Drury, you got Tildesley. Like, it's just every time I hear it, it's just like you can't not smile.
For me, it was the post-match interview of Lamps when he goes up to the interview and he goes,
I told you we're the best club in the world, and we are.
Yeah, he goes, one for my little girls. I always told you Chelsea the best club in the world. Now we are. Get in there, and he runs off, and it's just
that
absolutely
was proper Chelsea to a team.
Oh man, it's so hard watching us right now. Anyway, moving on from Chelsea. We'll stick with Chelsea. In the sense of we need to talk about YouTube, but. You obviously live in Bali, Indonesia, which is pretty rogue. It's an extension of your rogueness throughout life and your spontaneous decision-making, I suppose. But there's two things you said. Your hardest moment was the Bali move, and the most frequent lie you tell others is that you're great. So I wonder if we put these two things together, how that comes out. So tell me about that experience.
Yeah, so I had a very, very tricky January 2020, just before the pandemic. So I lost 2 grandfathers, basically, in the space of like 10 days. And in between that, I was going through a breakup with a girl that I really loved. And it just wasn't very nice. We weren't nice to one another. And in the process of all of that, like, it's the only time in my life that I've actually wanted to run away. So that's what moving to Bali was. It was kind of like, I think I'm going here on a holiday, but I actually, in the pit of my stomach, I don't think I'm going on holiday.
I can relate to that.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, very much
I was
so.
like, I really like Bali, and I keep going back there, like, all the time. And it's not close. It's not like Spain. It's not like Amsterdam. Yeah. Like, it's the other side of the flipping world. Like, actually 17 hours of distance between. And I was just like, I've got a funny feeling I'm going to be there for a bit. And then, lo and behold, there's a pandemic. And now I'm actually stuck here because best believe I am not going back to London in the cold, in the rain, and being told what to do every day.
That was good foresight from you.
No, thank you.
Yeah, that was
I knew exactly how that was going to play out.
Yeah.
It sounds like a little bit arrogant, but it was obvious. It was flipping obvious. Conspiracy theories, yeah, I believe most of them.
Brilliant.
No, I do. Like, it's just, like, come on. But
we're trying to have some credibility here, George.
Sorry. But yeah, it was the hardest thing because at that time I was broken, like absolutely, like at the lowest of the low. I remember saying to my dad, I was like, should I stay? And he was like, no, son, I think you should go. He was like, I think you need a break from here. So with his kind of blessing, I guess you could say, I went here, and then that's how I'm here now. Like a mixture of following the gut and knowing that I probably wasn't going to come back because I actually really like it here and wanted to live here for a long time prior to that. Then life happens. The world creates its own little thing that's now very important, makes ease of travel and everything difficult. And then from that, it's kind of just formulated a group here, a friendship group. I know the island now. As someone who's traveled a lot, I love being somewhere where I don't need to look at my phone for maps. I think that is like home. Home is where you can just know where the shop is, where the fish and chip shop is. You know, I know all my favourite spots. I don't need to use Google Maps anymore on the island. Life is good. That's home.
I have a couple of things I want to ask you about. It kind of comes back to our first 10 questions. When you say so, the component of I'm great. You know, you said that's that's the most frequent lie you tell other people.
Yeah.
Is that where does that come from? Is that because you find it hard to talk about your emotions? What is that?
No, it's the opposite. I actually think sometimes people aren't ready for my level of communication with emotions. So I think a lot of the time, I already know people that I'm going to be able to go into things like emotions with. I know the moment I meet somebody, if there's depth, the potential depth to like extrapolate from a friendship. Do you know what I mean? So most of the time, like, so only certain people I'll open up to. I'm not frightened to talk about anything with anybody, but like yeah, I'm great is the facilitator point to actually just telling a lie. It's a lie. Like if I'm not good, only if I really care about you am I not going to answer with I'm great. Because I don't see the point in being honest with people whose motives are not aligned with mine.
That's interesting though, because my instant reaction to that was that you do care about the person in front of you, which is why you don't.
Oh no, I do, but I don't care about how they're going to try and unpack my not being great.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
So like, I'm not going to be honest, but there's some people that I don't need you to know everything. You know? And I think that comes also back to vlogging, where everyone saw everything. And all of a sudden there's like tens of thousands of people that kind of know everything, be that relationships, ones that have gone south, everything. So it's like now...
How does that affect your life when a lot of people know your truth?
Well, that's why this is the most told lie. Because now I just like, even if I'm not great, I'll just say I am because I don't need everybody to know my business.
So you think there's a time and a place for openness, basically?
Yeah. And as I've grown older, I feel like the people I trust in that element is smaller and smaller, which from all the reading I've done, all the life experience I've had, the less people I think that are around you that you truly trust, actually the better, because then the quality of the relationship, the friendship is just so much stronger. Because you're not listening to all the different potential angles of opinion when it's actually me, you know? Like, if I'm the one saying I'm great, it's like, all right, cool, nice, good. Or, no, I'm not. It's like, oh, well, what's going on? It comes back to the Colosseum thing again. Everybody kind of want to know everything about everybody. For what? I don't need to know. I need to know everything about, well, like, you're one of my best mates. I want to know everything about you. But then the guy at the pub who comes once every 4 weeks, I'm not that fuss, mate, to be honest. You know what I mean? Like, truthfully, I'm just not. Don't have the time.
You said that the one thing you won't accept in people around you, talking about people around you is congruence. Yeah. Firstly, you have to define that word for me because I'm not 100% sure what it means. Well, how would you define congruence?
I mean, I think this is another one of those examples as to why I like talking so much. Because I get a word in my head and I'm like, even if it's not quite the right definition, I just roll with it anyway. But like congruence, I think, is like about things being in line. So it's like, for a good example would be, you say that you're this, and then you do this. Or a lack of congruence would be, you say that you're this or you're going to do this, and then you do the opposite.
Got you.
So like, what you say and what you do are two different things. And I think that for me has always been an underlying positive that I'm actually very proud of myself for, because I've always been congruent with in. So then what's being seen out is simply me. There's no trying too hard. There's no trying to fit in. I don't do any of that. So I think in others, I'd like to see the same.
So you sort of see that as like a kind of pretentious, it's a dislike of sort of pretentious behaviour, essentially.
Yeah, I don't care for it. Do you know what I mean? And I've actually become way worse in the way that I deal with this. Because now if I'm an arsehole, I'm an arsehole. Like, and I don't like that, but like if I don't like something, best believe the right people are going to find out I don't like it. You know? And it'll probably be done in a passive way because I don't like being like, I don't like swear. I don't even swear in my videos, so I don't like really just going in person most of the time.
Yeah. So it's interesting. It seems like you kind of have an understanding of what you look for in the quality of relationships in your life, but everyone always talks about that social media space, the online community. You need to have thick skin. There's a lot of criticism. There's a lot of abuse, especially when you're in an opinionated space like football. It sounds like that kind of extends into every part of your life. That ability to be like, this is for me. This isn't for me. The thing that isn't for me, I'm not interested in, or it doesn't affect me.
Yeah, I think football's a good one because you're never going to please everybody in football. But it's like, that's what the comments are for. That's how I've built a YouTube audience, because I try and get people to comment, to be part of it. It's not just about what I say, it's also about you guys' opinion. It's an outlet for people. Like for me, talking about it, if Chelsea win, I get to express my excitement. If Chelsea lose, 9 times out of 10, I feel better once I've done the video because I've just got it all out there. It's the same with anything in life. You bottle up emotions, you don't want to talk about things, probably it's going to fester and then come out in the wrong way. As we know, prior to filming this podcast, I've been absolutely susceptible to that myself. But then when things are gone and things are expressed, then there's a calm. Then there's balance. Because you have to let things go. You have to let things out. And that for me has always been an important thing. And that's why sometimes I just talk a lot. Because it's like I'm almost getting it just out there so that inside I can feel content and aligned again.
There's so much chat in the world about, a man's relationship to emotions and how so many guys aren't really able to do that. Aren't really able to like process their. I mean, I've definitely had problems with it over the years. Only recently for me that I've actually been able to process my own emotions in a more helpful way for me. Like I've been a very stressed person over the years because I've not been able to do that. I've not been able to. I've always felt a need to present a certain face to people. Something that it's something that I think I learned at school. I always felt that need and that desire to not make myself vulnerable, to ignore how I felt, and I could make myself feel how I wanted to feel.
Yeah.
But it's super important. Otherwise, you end up doing yourself damage, really. But what's your perspective on that? I mean, there's so much stuff out there about what it means to be a man, how a man should behave or shouldn't behave.
Yeah.
Where do you sit on all of that? Because it's such a hot thing. There's so many influencers and sort of male role models now who are very attached to traditional values, attached to the traditional way of being.
Yeah.
Where do you sit with all of that? What do you take any influence from that stuff, or what do you think about it all?
I mean, I think the focus is so heavily on the polarities, the extremes. Like, you're either a fan of Andrew Tate or you're not a fan of Andrew Tate. Like, can we not just all agree that maybe some things he says are good, most of the things, or a lot of the things are bad? Like, the opinions are very much attached to the way that people attach to the in-group, out-group way of bracketing thinking.
Identity.
Yeah, identifying with a certain characteristic, trait, the belief behind where that comes from and what that is and how that's defined. I don't really think in any set way. Like, I'm not interested in politics, so you can't say I'm left, you can't say I'm right, you can't say I'm Labour, you can't say I'm Conservative, because quite frankly, I'm just me. I don't need to be put somewhere in order to do that. So I think when it comes to like masculinity and whatever, I think people look at the word, and then, especially me now, even when I think of like the connotations behind that word, I'm thinking toxic, because that's what I'm being told.
That's when it's brought up now.
Yeah, that's the thing, but that's diluted the meaning of the word. So I think for me, like, I try and be a good person. Sometimes I'm not. So as a man, there are certain things I like, certain things I don't like, and as long as I try not to cross the barriers of doing too many things wrong in between, like I don't think that there's any way for me to identify where I sit within that spectrum.
Yeah.
Either this kind of masculine or that kind of masculine.
It does seem to me that these days it's like the lack of appreciation for nuance is kind of the issue with most things.
Yes.
It's like people want like it is this way or it is this way. It's not like, well, maybe I can take some helpful lessons from what is being said, but ultimately I've got to apply it to myself and who I am, as a human being.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like we've talked about the whole time, like talking, being able to take something small and extrapolate that into something big. Like, I think a lot of people are just too focused on the surface. They're not willing to go a bit deeper. They're not willing to expand upon things, be that like consciousness or like thought processes and ways of being or dealing with issues. Yeah. I'd like it if people could be a bit more like congruent with what they want to get out of it and knowing that things are going to take time and effort. Talk more, you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I want to go back to YouTube and back to Chelsea. What's the future for you? How do you see things playing out for you now? You've sort of created a career path for yourself. I know you probably wouldn't like to call it that because it sounds too institutionalized, but essentially this is what you've committed to.
Yeah.
Where do you go now? You make the videos you make. Do you see yourself getting bored of them? Like, what do you think is going to happen? How do you predict the next few years for yourself?
I mean, like even right now, for example, like when Chelsea aren't doing very well, I find it very monotonous to just keep on making the same video every day, saying how bad we are or whatever. I do like riding the positivity wave, so I'd like to hope for the foreseeable future that Chelsea can pull their finger out their asses and start winning some football matches. That'd be nice. I think that would also
Agreed.
give us a bit more longevity. If we keep losing every week, people aren't going to watch this after a while.
Might have to get a new job.
I might have to support a new team. No, never impossible.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think in the future, now, I'm kind of just trying to stabilize work. So we've got this space now, we work together here, and then I've got a room next door. There's kind of just I've got my home life, and then I go to my office and I do my work, and it's kind of exciting to arrive in a place that's focused on making content, as opposed to it just being my bedroom, and then I sleep here, and then I make videos here, and there's no separation. So I think for me, at the moment, it's just about continuing to build the channel, to formulate new ways to expand upon existing ideas that are already doing well, not to focus too much on constantly trying to do this, do that, do this, do that, and just really homing in on the parts of YouTube within the football creator sphere that I think I'm good at. I think I'm an emotional reactor, I would say. You've got your analysts who break things down. I'm not a stats guy. I don't really care for it. I do, but I don't. But then the one thing is the goals against. That's the way you win or you lose.
Yeah.
So for me, that's not that important. Everything else.
You're more of an eye test guy than a XG guy.
And I like that. And it fits my delivery as a creator more. I can be emotional because I'm an emotional person.
Yeah.
So I can be emotional when I talk about Chelsea, and that's the focus. And I think it's just homing in on that side of things even more than I have been before.
Yeah. And your future in Bali, you're here, this is you for the foreseeable.
Yeah.
Because people are always surprised when they hear you're here, right? I think one of the most asked questions I see on your streams is, why are you in Bali?
Yeah. I mean, I think I do love this place. I love warm weather. I don't like the way that the UK is going in terms of the cost of living. And I think the Western world is just becoming so, again, in-group, out-group. You're either this or you're either that.
But everyone's skint though now. So.
Yeah, and everyone's broke. So it's how are you going to enjoy all of these potential things? No, I think Bali's great in the sense of it's very much feels like home now, for the reasons I said about knowing where I am, knowing where I'm going. I have amazing friends here. I have a dog here. I have 2 cats here.
Big up Mason.
And
get well soon, boy.
Get well soon, boy. Yeah, get well soon. He's doing better. But you can't just pick up and move all the time, So it was the hardest thing to come here initially, but now I'm very happy with that decision. Sometimes I miss home quite frequently, but this is home. And people at home don't like hearing that because it's I guess you're not coming back. Then I'm well, no, sorry. Not right now.
Okay, see ya.
Yeah, bye. Exit chat. No.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to be here for a while. I wouldn't say the thing that I think would change that would maybe be if I had kids, which I'd like to do.
That's part of your future for you.
Yeah, I'd love that. If it's as long as the person that I'm with is ready for it and it's smart financially to do that. So
you'd hope they'd be up for it,
You'd hope so. Yeah, if they're not, then great.
Bigger problems.
Single dad. Brilliant. Thanks for the kid. Oh, no, I think, I don't know about raising a kid here. I just think it's a bit scary.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I do look around sometimes and think, even just having a dog on my scooter would be a bit stressful.
Yeah, or just give your 7-year-old kid a flipping scooter and tell him he can go 100 kilometers an hour without a helmet on.
Which you do see sometimes.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a bit crazy. To wrap up, the only thing we haven't talked about is spider. How do you deal with the spiders here? Because there's some pretty interesting spiders here.
It's actually a nightmare.
Yeah.
Because I'm actually petrified.
Yeah.
Genuinely, I've got arachnophobia. Proper.
Diagnosed?
Yeah.
Self-diagnosed?
Yeah.
Okay.
So every time I see one, it's a catch-22 as to whether or not something bad's going to happen. Am I going to pass out? I don't know. So with the big ones here, best believe I've got to see it from a distance. And if it's there on my head or something, it could be a heart attack. It could be the way I go. I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to die, but it could be spiders.
Imagine if you went.
There's just so many big
heart
ones,
attack
bro.
from being in presence of a spider.
Imagine. I want it on my gravestone.
Yeah.
I just want spider bite. It wasn't actually a bite. I was just scared of it.
People say that I look like Spider-Man.
You do. Yeah, you do actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. So what do I look like then?
What's that?
Who's Spoderman?
Who's the Chelsea centre back again that you look like? Hutchinson.
Alfie Gilchrist.
Alfie Gilchrist. Yeah,
the up and coming Chelsea centre back, Alfie Gilchrist. We're brothers.
Yeah, you do look like Alfie Gilchrist. Also, a little bit like the young striker that we had on the bench,
Ronnie Stutter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that's maybe just because you all have shaved heads.
Yeah.
Yeah. At what point did you decide to shave the hair?
Oh,
That was a look change.
This is just another impulsive thing where
It's stuck.
yeah, Arabella and Lily were talking about it with me at Black Sand, and then I think Lily was like, I think it would look really good on you to get it short. Actually, it looks really good in these pictures. I was like, all right, what do you think about it, Bella?
What, the pictures with the filter?
No, the pictures with like I had it before for a little bit and
With
then
the with the Derek tattoo on the head.
yeah, with the Derek tattoo there. And then as soon as Bella was like, yeah, I think it'll be all right. I was like, right, cool, done. And it was the same before. Like I tried to grow my hair out, it didn't work. And the guy, my barber at the time, measured my hair, and he was like, bro, it's not grown in 6 months. I was like, what do you mean? I've been living under a hat. With this disgusting barnet.
So your hair doesn't grow back anymore?
Well, it didn't grow. It grew like 2 millimeters in 6 months. When it got to a certain length, like it was long and scruffy.
Right.
And I was like, right, well, in that case, get rid of it all.
Yeah.
Like what? Okay, people are going to be like, oh my god, you. Fine.
Bro, I'm scared to lose my hair. I won't lie.
Yeah.
Like it's like a defining characteristic for me. I also have quite a small head, so I think.
Yeah, the truth is, I'm actually so worried about it too. I just like might as well get it done now, so that people.
Was that actually part of it?
No, absolutely not. That's a joke.
No, because like I've thought about like sometimes I've been like maybe I should shave it off to like face the fear, but no, I'm too attached to my lid.
Once it's gone, it's gone. Like...
Before we go, I want to ask you about the Derek tattoo.
Yeah, the Derek tattoo.
Your name's not Derek.
It's not Derek.
Who's Derek?
Derek is.
Derek's a weird...
Actually, this is probably. I really wanted to say this on a
Yeah,
podcast because nobody really knows this, but I actually think it's a
Right.
great way to like build bonds with people and to just like create relationships. Really. So I have this thing with all my friends, and all my closest friends. I can explain one by one about that person, what that thing is that I have with them, that only I have with them. And the Derek thing was something that I actually had with a couple of people, and it was actually a thing that bonded us together.
Yeah.
And that's why I say I'm a bit crazy. I'm very weird. I'm actually a very weird person. Like I spew out random bollocks all the time.
I mean, I know this because I see you on a daily basis.
Yeah.
You're
And, like,
absolutely mental.
People don't know this who watch my videos. They'll be like, oh yeah, he's like,
Well, yeah,
relatively well spoken.
I said to you, I think you're the first content creator who actually tones himself down.
Yeah, my
your-
videos are like 10% of me. 10%. So yeah, the Derek thing was...
It's not very congruent of you.
No, well, no. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, there's a lot of things maybe that might not be congruent with me, but it's something I really believe in. So you can't be perfect.
Yeah, sure.
But the Derek thing was from Derek for Real from the movie Blow.
Right, I've seen it.
And then Damn Daniel, you know, like
I
Damn
remember
Daniel,
Dan Day back again with the white vans.
Yeah, the guy with the white vans. And then we mixed the two things together.
To become
Damn
Derek.
Damn Derek for Real.
Damn Derek for real.
We loved the movie, we were all watching together, and I was like, right, Derek, that's the thing.
And then you found out one of my middle names was Derek.
Then it's just all aligned so perfectly.
That was a big moment for us.
But yeah, like I just have all these little things with individual people that bond us together, and like, you know, if ever there's a lack of things to talk about, well, at least we've got that. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's leave it. I think that's a good final talking point.
It is Derek.
It is Derek.
Yeah.
Mate, thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you for having me. This has been a big pleasure.
I hope that people can watch this and get something out of it, hear your experiences. I'm sure there'll be a lot of people that are interested in, you know, the YouTube space and sort of managing yourself through that process. And I don't think you've ever really had the chance to kind of talk about your life on camera before. You're always talking about other things. So
we could have made this like 4 hours, but like...
Well, that's the thing. It's like I know I could ask you a lot more stuff, but I don't want to bore people. We can get you in for another one though in the future, maybe.
Let's see what the reception is. Maybe they just think I'm all waffle.
Yeah, absolutely.
All waffle, no trouser, mate.
All waffle. Yeah. Everyone, this has been the All Right podcast. That's what we're going to call this. I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah, I think it's a great name, mate.
I listen to a lot of Oasis, and they say the word "all right" all the time.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good word because it's like, you know, in the UK you say, "Oh, you're right."
Yeah.
And often when I say that, I don't mean "Are you all right?" I mean, "Oh, hey mate, how you?" Just like
yeah,
hey,
it's like saying "Yeah, I'm great" or "Yeah, I'm all right," but it's like he's all right. Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Things to unpack, mate.
So we've got a lot of things to unpack with the name. I think it could be kind of cool. We'll probably use clothing or something at some point. I don't know. I want it to be an option, and I didn't want it to say it like the Big Love podcast or something rubbish like that. So yeah, all right. This has been all right.
It's been all right, mate.
Cheers.